Dr. Jiho was sleeping when his phone rang. The bright screen showed 3:15 a.m. He groaned and picked it up. "Dr. Han speaking," he said, his voice rough from sleep. "Doctor, this is General Kang. There's something you need to see. A car is waiting outside your apartment. Please come right away." Jiho didn't ask questions. If General Kang called at this hour, it had to be important. He got dressed quickly, grabbed his bag, and went outside. A black car with military plates was waiting. The ride took 2 hours. They drove far from Seoul, into the countryside of Gyeonggi Province. Jiho watched as the city lights faded and were replaced by dark mountains and farmland. They arrived at what looked like a military base that had been set up overnight. Soldiers moved quickly, setting up equipment around a smoking crater in the ground. Bright lights pointed at the center of the crater. General Kang met him at the entrance. He was a tall man with a serious face. "Dr. Han, thank you for coming. What crashed here isn't a normal meteorite." Jiho followed the general to a tent set up near the crater. Inside, a team of scientists in protective suits worked around a table. On the table was a black rock about the size of a basketball. It had strange blue lines running through it. "It crashed 6 hours ago," General Kang said. "The energy signature was unlike anything we've seen before. But that's not why we called you." He handed Jiho a tablet showing microscope images. "We found these on the outer layer of the rock." Jiho's eyes widened. The images showed tiny organisms, unlike anything he had ever seen. They weren't quite viruses and weren't quite bacteria. They had complex structures that seemed to shift and change as he watched. "Are they alive?" Jiho asked. "Yes. And they're changing. Every time we look, they've evolved. We need the best virologist in Korea." "That's you." Within hours, Jiho had set up a proper lab in the military tent. He worked carefully, studying the strange organisms under powerful microscopes. They were fascinating. They had the ability to inject genetic material like viruses, but could also reproduce on their own like bacteria. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Dr. Kim Mina, his former research partner. "Jiho, are you seeing the news? Strange meteorites have landed in 15 countries. The US, Russia, China, Brazil, Egypt. What's happening?" He texted back. "I'm at the Korean impact site. Mina, these aren't normal meteorites. Can you come? I need your help." 3 hours later, Dr. Kim Mina arrived. She was shorter than Jiho, but moved with purpose. Her eyes lit up when she saw the samples. "These are incredible," she said, looking through the microscope. "They don't match anything in Earth's evolutionary tree. Jiho, I think we're looking at alien life. The question is, was this an accident or on purpose?" Jiho said. They got their answer soon enough. The next morning, a farmer from a nearby village came to the base. He was carrying a chicken in a cage. "Look," he said to the soldiers. "Something is wrong with my chickens." The chicken had bright blue feathers that seemed to glow slightly. Its eyes were larger than normal, and it watched the humans with unusual focus. General Kang called Dr. Han and Dr. Kim immediately. "How could this happen so quickly?" Mina asked as she examined the chicken. "Genetic changes like this should take generations. These organisms must be designed to cause rapid mutations," Jiho said. "We need to check more animals in the area." By afternoon, they had found more changed animals. Rabbits with longer ears and faster speed. A fox with strange growths that seemed to help it blend into its surroundings. Even insects were affected. Spiders spinning webs with unusual patterns, stronger than normal silk. "We need to set up a containment zone," Jiho told General Kang. "Keep people away from here until we understand what's happening." "Too late," said Captain Park Do-yeon, who had just joined the team as military liaison. He showed them his tablet. "Reports are coming in from all impact sites around the world. Animals are changing everywhere." 1 week after the meteorites fell, the first human cases appeared. A group of hikers had been near one of the impact sites in Canada. They came to a hospital with strange symptoms: headaches, nosebleeds, and most concerning, unusual brain activity. Unlike the animals, the humans didn't show physical changes. No blue glowing skin or extra fingers, just strange brainwave patterns. that doctors couldn't explain. World leaders called emergency meetings. The WHO declared a global health emergency. People began to panic, buying supplies and staying home. Dr. Han Jiho worked day and night, trying to understand the organisms. He barely slept. Dark circles formed under his eyes. "Mina, look at this," he said one night, pointing at his computer screen. The organisms were changing when they entered human cells. Instead of causing mutations like they did in animals, they seemed to integrate with human DNA in a controlled way. "It's like they're being tamed by our cells," Mina said, amazed. "Human immune responses are different from the animals. We're not mutating. We're absorbing them." Captain Park Do-hyun had been spending a lot of time in the lab against safety protocols. He was one of the first to be near the meteorite, and tests showed he had been infected. "How do you feel?" Jiho asked him. "Strange," Do-hyun admitted. "I have headaches. And sometimes I think I can feel what others are feeling. Like I know what they're thinking." Mina ran more tests on Do-hyun. His brain activity was changing, but in ways that seemed almost beneficial. His reaction times were faster. His memory tests showed improvement. 2 weeks after the meteorites fell, Professor Lee Yoonji from Seoul National University joined the team. She was an expert in satellite data and astronomy. "I've been analyzing the trajectory of all the meteorites," she told them. "They didn't fall randomly." She showed them her computer models. "See here? They changed course during descent. These weren't random space rocks, they were aimed at specific locations around the planet." The room fell silent as the meaning became clear. "You're saying someone sent them?" General Kang asked. "Yes, Professor," Lee said. "These were delivered intentionally." That night, as the team discussed what this meant, an urgent call came from the United Nations. Similar conclusions had been reached by scientists worldwide. The meteorites were not an accident. Earth had been targeted. Jiho looked out the window of their facility at the night sky. Were they watching now? Whoever had sent these organisms, what was their plan? He thought about how differently humans were responding compared to animals. Was that unexpected? A mistake in the plan? Captain Park Do-hyun walked up beside him, looking at the stars too. "I had a dream last night," Do-hyun said quietly. "I saw ships, hundreds of them coming toward Earth, and I could feel their surprise, that we weren't changing the way we were supposed to." Jiho looked at him sharply. "It was just a dream, right?" Do-hyun touched his temple, where he'd been having headaches. "I'm not so sure anymore." The next morning, deep space monitoring stations around the world detected something. Multiple objects, large ones, had just entered the outer solar system. They were moving fast, and they were heading straight for Earth. 6 months had passed since the meteorites fell to Earth. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Forests that were once green now glowed with blue and purple light at night. Animals continued to change. Deer grew extra antlers that seemed to act as antennas. Birds developed strange patterns on their wings that helped them fly faster. Even fish in the deepest parts of the ocean showed new abilities. Some could make light, others could send electric shocks. But humans remained mostly the same on the outside. The strange brain patterns continued, and more people reported headaches and nosebleeds. Some, like Captain Park Do-hyun, began to show unusual mental abilities. Dr. Han Jiho and his team had moved their lab to a bigger facility. The Korean government gave them everything they needed. Similar labs existed in every major country now. "The changes in the ecosystem are happening faster than we predicted," Dr. Kim Mina said, showing Jiho her latest data. "Plants are growing, stronger. Some trees that usually take 50 years to mature are now fully grown in 6 months." "And the animals?" Jiho asked. "They're becoming more intelligent, especially predators. Wolves, tigers, even sharks are showing problem-solving abilities we've never seen before." Professor Lee Yoonji entered the lab, excitement clear on her face. "They found something at the American impact site," she said. "A piece of technology inside one of the meteorites. They're sending it here because our lab has the best containment systems." 2 days later, the object arrived. It was a small metallic cube with strange symbols on its surface. It had been damaged in the crash but still seemed to have power. It's some kind of data storage device, Professor Lee said. I'm sure of it. The symbols match patterns we've seen in radio signals coming from the approaching ships. Those ships were now a constant worry. They had entered the inner solar system and would reach Earth in about 3 months. All attempts at communication had failed. If we can read this device, we might understand what they want, Jiho said. For weeks, Professor Lee worked on decoding the alien language. Captain Park Do-hyun spent time with her, finding that his new mental abilities helped him see patterns in the symbols. Finally, they had a breakthrough. We've decoded enough to access some of the data, Professor Lee announced one morning. The team gathered around a screen as she activated the alien device. Strange symbols flowed across the monitor, now with translations below them. It's a mission. Report, Do-hyun said, his eyes moving rapidly over the text. From something called the HFY. That's the name of whoever sent the meteorites. The room was silent as they read the translated text. The evolutionary virus, Mina whispered. That's what they call these organisms. Jiho felt cold as he understood what they were reading. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't first contact, it was an attack. A weapon. According to the data, the HFY had used this virus on dozens of planets. They would infect a world, wait for the ecosystem to collapse, and then move in to take the planet for themselves. The virus was designed to make animals more aggressive and intelligent, but in a chaotic way. It would push predators to wipe out prey species. Plants would grow too fast, using up soil nutrients. Within a year, most planets would see mass extinctions and ecosystem failure. But that's not happening here, not exactly, Mina said. The changes are dramatic, but our ecosystem isn't collapsing yet. Because of humans, Do-hyun said. We're not reacting the way we're supposed to. General Kang called an emergency meeting with world leaders after learning what was in the alien data device. This is actually good news, the American president said in the video conference. If their weapon isn't working as planned, that gives us time. Time for what? Asked the Chinese premier. Their ships are still coming. Our most powerful weapons wouldn't even scratch them based on what we know of their technology. We need to understand why humans are different, Jiho said. Why we absorb the virus instead of mutating from it. Over the next weeks, Dr. Han Jiho and Dr. Kim Mina worked non-stop. They compared human DNA with animal DNA, looking for differences in how they responded to the virus. Look at this, Mina said one night when only she and Jiho were still in the lab. Human DNA already contains viral sequences from our evolutionary past. Lots of them. All mammals have some viral DNA, Jiho said. Yes, but humans have more. Much more. And our immune system has evolved to work with them, not against them. We've spent millions of years learning to live with viruses. Jiho looked at the data again. You're right. That's why we're not mutating like the animals. We've evolved to incorporate useful viral elements and reject harmful ones. They shared their findings with the global scientific community. For the first time in months, there was hope. As the HFY ships came closer, strange things began to happen with the infected humans. Some could communicate without speaking. Others could feel the emotions of animals around them. A few, like Do-hyun, could even influence simple machines with their thoughts. The virus is changing us, Do-hyun told Jiho. Just not in the way they expected. It's making us stronger, not weaker. The first clear images of the HFY ships came from space telescopes. They were huge, shaped like giant seeds, and covered in the same blue lines they had seen on the meteorites. Their technology seems partly biological, Professor Lee said, studying the images. It might be connected to the virus somehow. One night, Do-hyun woke up screaming. Dr. Han Jiho rushed to his room in the facility where they now all lived. They're coming to check why their weapon failed, Do-hyun gasped, holding his head. I can feel them. They're angry and confused. They've never seen a species absorb the virus before. Jiho looked at his friend with concern. Can they feel you too? Can they tell you're in their heads? Do-hyun's eyes widened. I don't think so. Not yet. But they will. He grabbed Jiho's arm. And when they do, they'll be even more afraid of us than we are of them. 3 days later, the Seohae ships entered Earth orbit. The invasion had begun. The first message from the Seohae came 3 hours after their ships entered Earth orbit. It appeared on every screen across the planet at the same time. The being on the screen looked almost like a tall human, but with blue-tinted skin and large, dark eyes. It wore something like armor that seemed to move as if it were alive. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am Overseer Hanji of the Seohae Expansion Fleet. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. We are surprised by your resistance to our preparatory measures, but this changes nothing. You will surrender your planet or face extinction." The message ended. World leaders met in emergency session. "We need to buy time," General Kang said to the team at the research facility. "Our weapons aren't ready to fight them yet." Dr. Han Jiho nodded. "We've learned so much in the past 6 months, but we need more time to understand how to use the virus against them." "They'll attack soon," Captain Park Do-hyun said. He had become central to their planning because of his growing abilities. "I can feel their minds. They're confused by us. Humans scare them." Dr. Kim Mina looked up from her computer. "The brain scans from infected humans are showing incredible changes. The virus isn't just being absorbed, it's enhancing our neural pathways." "Is that why some people are developing abilities?" Professor Lee asked. "I think so," Mina said. "And Do-hyun has had the most exposure of anyone we've studied." The first attack came the next day. Seohae ships fired weapons at major military bases around the world. The weapons were strange. They didn't just explode. They released more of the virus in concentrated form. But something unexpected happened. At bases where many soldiers had already been exposed to the virus, the weapons did less damage than the Seohae expected. Their weapons are designed to work with the virus, Jiho explained to military leaders in an emergency call. "They expect the virus to have weakened us, made us unstable. But because we've absorbed it instead, the weapons aren't as effective." It wasn't a complete defense. Thousands died in the first day of attacks. But humanity wasn't as helpless as the Seohae had planned. Earth's militaries fought back with everything they had. Fighter jets attacked the smaller Seohae ships. Missiles were fired at the larger ones. Most did little damage, but occasionally, a lucky hit would break through their defenses. Their ships are partly biological, Professor Lee realized studying footage of the battles. They're grown, not built. That's why they have the same blue patterns as the virus. A week into the war, Dr. Han Jiho was working late in his lab when Do-hyun burst in. "I touched one of their minds," he said, his eyes wide. "A Seohae officer on one of the smaller ships. I felt everything they know." "What did you learn?" Jiho asked, calling the others to join them. "They've done this to hundreds of planets," Do-hyun said. "Their whole empire is built on the virus. They use it to reshape worlds before they take them, but they've never ever had a species absorb it like we do. It's not supposed to be possible." Dr. Kim Mina arrived, followed by Professor Lee. "There's more," Do-hyun continued. "Their technology depends on the virus. Their ships, their weapons, they're all grown using the virus to shape living material." Jiho's eyes lit up. "That means there might be a connection between their tech and the virus we've absorbed. That's why I can sometimes affect their simpler machines," Do-hyun said. "My brain has integrated enough of the virus to communicate with their technology." The fighting continued for weeks. Earth's cities burned. Millions fled to the countryside. But the Seohae were moving slower than they had on other planets. Humanity was not collapsing as expected. In hidden labs around the world, scientists studied the virus and the captured pieces of Seohae technology. Slowly, they began to understand how it all worked together. Some humans, like Do-hyun, developed stronger abilities each day. A few could heal wounds quickly. Others could communicate with the mutated animals. A small number could even interface with Seohae tech, like Do-hyun. "We need to use these people," General Kang said during a planning meeting. "Form special teams to attack the Seohae where they're weakest." Jiho didn't like the idea of sending people like Do-hyun into battle, but he knew they had few options. "I'll go," Do-hyun said. I can get closer to their ships than anyone else. I might even be able to control some of their systems. The first mission was planned carefully. A team of 20 soldiers with the strongest viral integration would attack a small Seohae ship that had landed to collect water from a lake in northern Canada. Do-hyun led the team. They moved silently through the forest, approaching the ship under cover of darkness. The animals around them, wolves with glowing eyes, birds with strange features, seemed to sense their purpose and stayed quiet. As they got closer, Do-hyun felt the ship in his mind. It was alive in a way, growing and changing like all Seohae technology. He reached out with his thoughts using what he had learned from touching the Seohae officer's mind. The ship's outer door opened. It worked, he whispered to his team. Stay close to me. Inside, the ship was like nothing they had ever seen. The walls pulsed with blue light. The floor felt slightly soft under their boots. Everything was connected in a living network. They moved deeper into the ship following Do-hyun's mental map. 3 Seohae guards appeared around a corner. Before they could use their weapons, Do-hyun reached out with his mind and disrupted the connection between the guards and their living armor. The other soldiers moved in quickly, using special weapons designed to work against Seohae biology. This way, Do-hyun said, leading them to the ship's control center. Inside, a single Seohae officer turned in surprise. It was taller than a human, with that same blue-tinted skin. Its eyes widened when it saw them. Impossible, it said in its own language. But Do-hyun understood. Not for us, Do-hyun replied in the Seohae tongue, surprising even himself. The officer reached for a weapon, but Do-hyun was faster. He connected with the ship's systems, sending commands through the neural interface he had developed. The ship's internal defenses shut down. The lights flickered. Do it now, he told the team. One soldier placed a device on the central control panel. It was Dr. Kim Mina's creation, a modified version of the virus designed to affect Seohae systems. Your own weapon, Do-hyun told the frightened officer. Turned against you. They left the ship quickly, moving back into the forest. From a safe distance, they watched as the blue lights on the ship turned red, then purple. The ship shuddered, its living systems fighting the modified virus. Then it went dark. Do-hyun felt the ship die in his mind. It wasn't just a machine breaking down. It was a living thing that had been killed. He touched his radio. Mission complete. The ship is neutralized. Back. At the base, Dr. Han Ji-ho and Dr. Kim Mina waited anxiously for news. When Do-hyun's message came through, they looked at each other with the first real hope they'd felt since the invasion began. It worked, Mina said. If we can do this to more ships... Ji-ho nodded. We need to scale up production of the modified virus and find more people like Do-hyun. For the first time, humanity had found a way to fight back against the Seohae. It wasn't just resistance anymore. It was the beginning of a counterattack. 1 month after the first successful mission against a Seohae ship, humanity had learned to fight back. Small teams of specially trained soldiers with high viral integration attacked Seohae vessels whenever possible. Each victory gave Earth more captured technology to study. But the war was far from over. The Seohae still controlled the skies. Major cities around the world lay in ruins. Billions of people lived in fear, hiding in the countryside or in underground shelters. Dr. Han Ji-ho had moved his team to a secret facility in the mountains of New Zealand. It was one of the few places relatively untouched by the fighting. Here they continued their research into the virus and human adaptation. The latest brain scans are fascinating, Dr. Kim Mina said, showing Ji-ho her results. The virus isn't just changing neural pathways, it's creating new ones. Ji-ho studied the images. It's like a second neural network growing alongside the original. Exactly. And it's most developed in people like Do-hyun who have had the most exposure. Captain Park Do-hyun was now General Park Do-hyun. He led the Special Forces teams and had developed the strongest abilities of any human. He could control simple Seohae technology with his mind and communicate with other infected humans over long distances. Where is Do-hyun now? Ji-ho asked. On his way back from a mission in Australia, Mina said. His team captured a HFY database. Professor Lee is very excited about it. Professor Lee Yoonji had set up her work area in a separate section of the Yo facility. When Ji-ho entered, she was surrounded by screens showing alien symbols and their translations. Ji-ho. Good timing, she said without looking up. The database Do-hyun's team captured is incredible. It contains the entire history of the HFY and their use of the virus. What have you learned? Ji-ho asked. They've been using the virus for thousands of years. It's the foundation of their whole civilization. She brought up a new screen. But here's what's most interesting. Look at this section about human DNA. Ji-ho read the translated text carefully. According to the HFY database, human DNA was unique among all the species they had encountered. Over millions of years, humans had incorporated fragments of ancient, viral material into their genome. We already knew this, Ji-ho said. Yes, but we didn't understand how rare it is, Yoonji replied. The HFY have infected hundreds of worlds and they've never seen anything like us. Most species either mutate chaotically from the virus or die. None have ever absorbed it like we do. So we're not just resistant, we're unique in the galaxy. Exactly. And there's more. The database includes details about HFY biology. They're vulnerable to viral infection themselves. They've just never encountered a virus they couldn't control. Until now. When Do-hyun arrived at the facility, he brought more than just the database. His team had captured a live HFY. The alien was kept in a special containment cell designed to block its telepathic abilities. It was tall and thin, with blue-tinted skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Its large dark eyes watched the humans warily. It's an officer, not a soldier, Do-hyun explained. I felt its mind during the raid. It knows things that could help us. Dr. Han Ji-ho stood before the cell, studying the alien. Can you communicate with it? Do-hyun nodded. I've learned enough of their language. The HFY spoke first, its voice, strangely musical. You should not exist as you are, it said in its language. Do-hyun translated for the others. What does it mean? Mina asked. Do-hyun spoke to the alien again, then translated its answer. It says humans should have mutated or died from the virus. Our ability to absorb it is impossible according to their science. Ji-ho stepped closer to the cell. Ask it why they attack worlds with the virus first. After Do-hyun translated the question and answer, he said, they've always done it this way. The virus reshapes worlds to suit them before they arrive. They can't easily live on planets without the virus changing the environment first. This gave Ji-ho an idea. He called a meeting with the entire research team. We've been thinking about this all wrong, Ji-ho told them. We've been trying to fight the HFY directly. But what if we could make Earth uninhabitable for them instead? How? General Kang asked. He had joined them in New Zealand after the Korean command center was destroyed. The virus, Ji-ho said. It's changing our world, but in ways the HFY didn't expect. What if we could control those changes? Push them in directions that would make Earth hostile to the HFY. Dr. Kim Mina caught on quickly. We could use the mutated animals and plants. If we understand how the changes work, we might be able to guide them. Exactly, Ji-ho said. And we have people like Do-hyun who can communicate with both the animals and HFY technology. If we combine all of this, Professor Lee looked skeptical. That would take a lot of time. The HFY are still attacking every day. Then we need a more immediate solution too, Do-hyun said. Something to give us time for this longer plan. Mina had been quiet, thinking. Now she spoke up. What about a counter-virus? Something designed specifically to affect the HFY. Everyone looked at her. The database has their complete genetic information. She continued. And we know the virus can be modified. We've already done it on a small scale with the weapon we used against their ships. You want to use their own weapon against them, General Kang said. Yes, but designed specifically for their biology. Ji-ho nodded slowly. It could work, but we'd need a way to deliver it to their ships. I could do it, Do-hyun said. My teams have successfully infiltrated smaller Seohe vessels. If we could get aboard one of their larger ships, their command ship, General Kang said, it controls the entire fleet. If we could infect it with this counter-virus. The plan took shape quickly. Dr. Kim Mina would develop the counter-virus using everything they had learned about Seohe biology. Do-hyun would lead a team to infiltrate the Seohe command ship and release the virus into its life support systems. For 2 weeks, they worked non-stop. Mina barely slept, pushing herself to perfect the counter-virus. Do-hyun trained with his team, using captured Seohe technology to practice interfacing with their systems. The day before the mission, Jiho found Do-hyun standing alone, looking at the night sky. "Are you ready?" Jiho asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," Do-hyun replied. "The command ship is heavily defended. Most of us won't make it back." "Mina's virus will work," Jiho assured him. "Once it's in their systems, it will spread to every ship connected to the command network." Do-hyun nodded. "I know. It's a good plan." He turned to face Jiho. "But I need you to promise me something. If I don't come back, continue the larger project. Make Earth so different that they can never live here, even if they win this battle." "I promise," Jiho said. "But you'll come back." Do-hyun smiled slightly. "Perhaps. Either way, the Seohai will learn that humans aren't as easy to conquer as they thought." The next morning, Do-hyun and his team of 20 soldiers left aboard a small aircraft designed to evade Seohai sensors. Each soldier had been chosen for their high level of viral integration and ability to interface with Seohai technology. Dr. Han Jiho, Dr. Kim Mina, and Professor Lee Yoonji watched them go, hoping their plan would work. The fate of humanity might depend on it. The counter-virus, sealed in special containers, went with them. It was humanity's best hope for survival. And perhaps, Jiho thought, their best revenge, to use the Seohai's own weapon against them, just as humans had turned the original virus from a threat into an advantage. The war for Earth had reached its turning point. General Park Do-hyun's mission to the Seohei command ship had begun. His team approached in a small craft that used captured Seohei technology to hide from their sensors. As they got closer, Do-hyun could feel the massive ship in his mind. It was like a giant living creature pulsing with energy. "Remember the plan," he told his team. "Once we're inside, we go straight to the life support center, release the counter-virus there, and it will spread throughout the ship." They docked at a small maintenance port that Do-hyun had identified through his mental connection with the ship. Using his abilities, he convinced the ship's systems that they were a routine maintenance crew. Inside, the command ship was enormous. Blue lights pulsed along the walls. The air smelled strange, like flowers and metal mixed together. They moved quickly, avoiding Seohei patrols when possible, and using their special weapons when necessary. "This way," Do-hyun said, following the map in his mind. "The life support center is 2 levels down." They had almost reached their target when alarms began to sound. The Seohai had discovered them. "Run," Do-hyun ordered. They sprinted down the corridor, firing at Seohei soldiers who appeared ahead of them. 3 of Do-hyun's team fell to enemy weapons. The rest made it to the life support center and sealed the doors. "We don't have much time," Do-hyun said. "Set the charges." His remaining team members placed explosive charges on the doors to slow down the Seohei when they arrived. Then they turned to the life support systems, a complex network of tubes and tanks filled with glowing blue liquid. "That's their air supply," Do-hyun said, pointing to a central tank. "Release the counter-virus." There. One soldier took out the special container Dr. Kim Mina had given them. Inside was the modified virus, designed specifically to affect Seohei biology. He connected the container to the tank and pressed a button. The clear liquid flowed into the blue one. At first nothing happened. Then the blue began to turn purple, then red. "It's working," Do-hyun said. He could feel the ship's systems reacting, trying to fight the invasion. Explosions rocked the doors. The Seohai were breaking through. "We need to go," a soldier said. "Is there another way out?" Do-hyun looked around, then pointed to a maintenance shaft. Through there, it leads to the lower levels. We can find an escape pod. As they prepared to leave, the doors burst open. Seohae soldiers rushed in, firing their weapons. More of Do-hyun's team fell. Go! Do-hyun shouted to the survivors. Get back to Earth. Tell them it worked. He stayed behind, using his abilities to fight the Seohae and give his team time to escape. In the chaos, no one saw him get hit by a Seohae weapon. Back on Earth, Dr. Han Ji-ho waited anxiously for news. It had been 3 days since Do-hyun's team left. Then a small craft appeared on their sensors, heading for the New Zealand facility. Only 5 members of Do-hyun's team had survived. Do-hyun was not among them. The mission was successful, one soldier reported. We released the counter-virus into their life support system. Before we escaped, it had already spread to half the ship. Ji-ho felt both joy and sadness. The plan had worked, but at a great cost. What about Do-hyun? Dr. Kim Mina asked. The soldier shook his head. He stayed behind to give us time to escape. He saved us all. Within days, the effects of the counter-virus became clear. The Seohae command ship stopped attacking. Then other ships in the fleet began to drift aimlessly. The virus had spread through their command network, affecting all connected vessels. Reports came in from around the world. The Seohae were in disarray. Their coordinated attacks had stopped. Some ships tried to leave Earth orbit but couldn't control their navigation systems properly. Then something unexpected happened. A message came from the Seohae command ship requesting communication. The face that appeared on the screen was familiar. Overseer Hanji, the Seohae leader who had demanded Earth's surrender months ago. But now the blue tint of its skin had darkened, and strange patterns covered its face. People of Earth, it said, its voice weaker than before. We request a ceasefire. Our ships are failing. Our people are changing. What have you done to us? World leaders gathered to discuss the request. Dr. Han Ji-ho was asked to join them. The counter-virus is affecting them just as the original virus affected Earth's animals, Ji-ho explained. But without the human ability to absorb and control it, the changes are chaotic. Their biology can't handle it. So we've won? The American president asked. For now, Ji-ho said. But we need to think carefully about what comes next. A meeting was arranged with the Seohae. Overseer Hanji came down to Earth in a small shuttle, accompanied by guards. The meeting took place in a neutral location, a field in Switzerland, that had somehow avoided destruction during the war. Ji-ho was surprised when he saw Hanji up close. The Seohae leader looked sick. Its skin was covered in patterns that shifted and moved. Its movements were unsteady. You have defeated us, Hanji said without preamble. In thousands of years, no species has ever turned our weapon against us. You gave us no choice, Ji-ho replied. You attacked our world. We have attacked hundreds of worlds, Hanji said. It is our way. We were attacked ourselves long ago by a race that used a virus against us. We learned to control it, to use it. We became the masters instead of the victims. And now, Ji-ho asked, now we ask for peace and… Hanji hesitated. Help. Your counter-virus is destroying us. Our ships, our technology, our bodies, all are failing. The negotiation lasted for days. In the end, a deal was reached. The Seohae would withdraw from Earth's solar system. In exchange, Dr. Kim Mina would develop a treatment to stabilize the counter-virus in Seohae bodies, not cure them completely, but stop the chaotic mutations. 5 years later, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The integration of the virus had accelerated human development, especially in biotechnology. People like those on Do-hyun's team, with high viral integration, helped create new technologies that combined human innovation with Seohae biological principles. The ecosystem had stabilized into a new balance. The mutated animals and plants had found their place in the world. Humans had learned to live with these changes, even benefit from them. Dr. Han Ji-ho stood on the platform of the new International Space Agency headquarters, watching the launch of Earth's first faster-than-light ship. It used principles learned from Seohae technology, but improved by human creativity. Do-hyun would have loved to see this. Dr. Kim Mina said, standing beside him. Yes, Jiho agreed. He gave us this future. The ship rose into the sky, carrying Earth's first ambassadors to the wider galactic community. The modified Seohei, now calling themselves the new Seohei, had shared knowledge of other civilizations as part of their peace agreement. Humanity was taking its place among the stars, not as conquerors like the Seohei had been, but as innovators and adapters. The very thing that had saved them, their ability to absorb and integrate the new rather than be destroyed by it, would be their strength in this new frontier. As Jiho watched the ship disappear into the blue sky, he thought about how it all began, with a virus meant to destroy them, which humans had instead made part of themselves. In the end, that was humanity's greatest strength, not fighting against change, but embracing it and making it their own.